I want to also ask you, Carlos, also known as Conan.
Let me deviate for a second.
Sure.
I mean, to me, our industry, not only is it ripe with a racism and sexism, but we are exploited, you know, in preposterous proportions. And I'll give you an example. Not only do we not have no pension or retirement or a union, do you know that when we go on the road, we have to pay for our own hotel, we have to pay for our transportation from the airport to the hotel? I mean, and what other athlete does that? A company that I worked for, TNA, Total Nonstop Action, if you got hurt, you had to pay for your own operation. I mean, in baseball, you had this guy, Belcher, the pitcher for the Orioles, who died because he took a supplement that had ephedrine, and it was taken off the market. You've got all these wrestlers dying, you know, from a combination of painkillers, prolonged steroid usage, and alcohol, recreational drugs, and nothing has been done. If 10 people on your staff died, there would be an investigation. Nothing has happened in wrestling. To me, Vince McMahon has gotten away with murder, figuratively and literally.
I want to ask you about your personal circumstance right now regarding your kidneys.
Well, that was just from the prolonged use of painkillers. I mean, like Mark Merrill said before, it's impossible to be on the road year-round. I mean, you could, you know, a baseball team, you know, they play 160-something games and then they're off for the rest of the year. You know, a rock band might go out for a world tour for 6 months and then they rest for 6 months. I mean, we're on the road year-round, traveling from city to city, country to country, and you need to take painkillers. That's the bottom line.
Out to the lines, Keisha in Georgia. Hi, Keisha.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I'm good, dear. What's your question?
Yes, my question is, what type of charges will be brought to this guy, the doctor that prescribed him the pills?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question. Repeat.
I said, what type of charges will be brought upon this guy that prescribed Benoit the pills?
Jen Casares with Court TV News explained the actual charges. There's 7 counts in this one federal indictment.
That's right, and it does not include Benoit at this point. First of all, it's in federal court, and it's 7 counts of basically distributing excessive amounts of prescription medications. And that's to 2 people that at this point are unknown. You have Benoit, no charges as of yet for Aston with that. And then you have this wrestler, Michael Durham, who died in February of '06, who was a patient. That could be even more charges.
Out to Amy in Tennessee. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Nancy. If the doctor is charged with illegally prescribing medication, would he not be responsible for the deaths of Chris Benoit, his wife, and son? Would that not be murder?
Let's talk about it. Susan Moss, Daniel Horowitz, Ray Giudice. Not only is this doctor going to escape any type of a murder charge, but Vince McMahon is not a murderer. People voluntarily fight in the WWE, wrestle in the WWE. And no one forces these circumstances on them. However, there has been no investigation, Sue Moss, of any type of anabolic steroids. In fact, everyone gets angry at you when you suggest possibly, maybe Benoit was on steroids.
It's unbelievable, and it's certainly out of control, as all of our witnesses has come forward to testify to. The toxicology report will set a lot of things straight. We will find out exactly what he had in his system and how much he had, and then we will trace where he got it from. If in fact he got it from this doctor, I believe charges will follow.
Will it work, Daniel Horowitz? Charges, actual murder charges or accessory to murder charges?
I think it could happen, Nancy. I noticed that the doctor's attorney was open to a deal, even though he said there's no deal in the works. I think he will make a deal now before they find steroids in Benoit's blood, because there's a voluntary manslaughter charge looming if you gave drugs to somebody knowing that it was either illegal or excessive or not medically necessary, and that is then a direct cause of the death of his wife and child and his own suicide. I think it's wrong to charge him that way, but if I was his attorney, I'd be worried.
And to Ray Giudice, would the comparison be, for instance, a bar over-serving someone and then they crash and kill somebody?
That's right, Nancy. It's the law of foreseeability.
But murder is an intentional act.
Not manslaughter and voluntary manslaughter. Those you don't have to have the intent to commit the murder.
Right, I'm talking about Benoit's murder.
Well, yes, if the doctor knew that it was foreseeable that Benoit would overdose, abuse the steroids, and that these steroids might make him violent, which all of the medical testimony and literature indicates that it can, then the law of foreseeability may bring an involuntary manslaughter charge to the doctor.
The other headline today, Mike Brooks, in addition to another body surfacing connected to this Dr. Philip Aston III, that would be the body of Johnny Grunge, dead in 2006 at the age of 40 to sleep apnea. Mike Brooks, another raid goes down on the doctor's offices. Why didn't get it all the first time?
Well, Nancy, they've done basically 3 or 4 search warrants on his office. Now, the DEA took over this case last week, and they were out there at the office again on Friday. But as they conduct their investigation, as they go through the medical records, see exactly what the doses were prescribed, they're going to go back and get more. They're going to go say, okay, well, we got this piece of the puzzle. Let's look for another piece, and they're going to try to complete this whole thing and put this case together.
Well, another thing is the faster they could indict him, the faster they could keep him and keep pharmacies from delivering on his prescriptions. Once he's indicted, pharmacies are not supposed to honor his prescriptions. Another question I've got, Brooks, is if this little boy, Benoit's little boy, did not have Fragile X syndrome, what were all the intravenous needle marks for? What was that all about?
That's a very good question. Maybe that's what he was telling everyone, and maybe he was getting some of these other drugs from one of these mail-order pharmacy houses down in Florida that they're also looking into, and maybe he was giving his son human growth hormone on his own, prescribing on his own. We don't know. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what the toxicology reports of Chris are, and also his son and his wife.
Tonight, another raid has gone down on the offices of Dr. Philip Aston III, the doctor to these celebrity wrestlers. All the while, another body has turned up, that of Johnny Grunge, allegedly connected to the doctor. He died with empty pill bottles beside his bed, dying of sleep apnea. Okay, to Brian Alvarez. Brian, what do we know about this doctor? We know he's connected to 2 wrestlers. Are there more?
I actually wanted to make a comment about the steroid testing in WWE very quickly.
Go ahead.
Mark talked about the testosterone to epitestosterone ratio. In the Olympics, it's 6-to-1, and in WWE, it's 4-to-1. And between a 4-to-1 ratio and a 10-to-1 ratio, they investigate you, and at 10-to-1, it's an automatic failure. Now, the thing is, in the WWE drug policy, they explicitly state that you can be prescribed testosterone for purposes of replacement therapy and such. So that's the loophole that guys are using to get these drugs. They go in and say, my testosterone count is low, they get prescribed testosterone, and there you go.